Good morning, everybody. This is Abogado Ray here. I'm here with Gerardo, a young man who's taken great advantage of not having school today. And he's coming to our office to ask me some questions about being an immigration attorney. So we thought we'd record it in case some of you out there might have had the same questions or concerns. So we will go ahead and post this later on. And if you have any other questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us because we always want to be here to give back to the community, right? So Gerardo, go for it, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So, what is your job title?
My title is owner at law office of Ray Barra Maldonado, and I do criminal and immigration here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. So, what are some of your responsibilities here?
Here I have multiple roles. One role is being an attorney. So I have a caseload in which I help people either get reunited with their family, keep them from being deported, keep them from going to jail, get them out of jail, and work on the criminal, immigration, and civil rights cases. In addition to that, we're also the owner of the business, so we work on supervising other attorneys, supervising support staff, being out in the community, giving back to the community, and finding different ways in which we can support the social movements that are happening here in Arizona.
Okay. So, what would a typical day look like for you, or does it just vary a lot day by day?
Yeah, I mean, every day is different and every day is amazing. I'll give you an example today. This morning I woke up and the first court hearing I had was in Phoenix Municipal Court. So I had to be there at 8:30, did that court hearing, came back to the office. The rest of the day I'll be doing consultations with people. So people that recently had a legal issue and they're looking for advice on whether or not we can help them out, I'll be talking to them. I'll be having lunch with some community activists to talk about some issues that are going on in the community and how we might be able to help them out. And then got to get home early because my wife's working on a paper and I need to watch the kiddos. So that's what today looks like. And a normal day can be just that, court hearings, motion writing, so you can be in front of the computer working on legal research for a few hours. You can be in a courtroom talking with the judge and with your client, trying to get somebody home. A lot of driving too. Drive a lot to Florence and to Eloy to talk to people out there. And a lot of meetings with individuals who are looking to help themselves or help their family members. That's what the typical day looks like, and it's just a blessing. I mean, to be able to do this stuff is something that I've always dreamed of, and to be able to live that is awesome.
So, what are some of your favorite parts about the job, and then some of your least favorites?
Some of my favorite parts of the job are being able to see families come back together again. A lot of times when people get arrested, it's not like any notification they get ahead of time, right? It's just like one day dad's there, the next day dad's gone. And for our work to be able to go in there and help them get reunited and seeing those families hug each other, seeing them embrace each other, those are beautiful, powerful moments. At the same time, it's a lot of my clients are still friends with us now on Facebook, so I see them day in and day out. And seeing those little times in life where they're just living their life, where they forgot about their case completely, and they're just complaining about, something their spouse did, or they're having fun with their family on vacation somewhere, and you think to yourself in the back of your mind, hey, we had something to do with that. Because of our work, they're able just to live a happy, normal life. And to me, those are also very beautiful moments that I'm lucky to capture just on random days at random times. It doesn't have to be those monumental, they just got out of jail and they go back and embrace. So to me, those are the beautiful moments. Also seeing the victories that we have within the office, our team get happy and our team celebrate because they put so much work and effort into those victories. Seeing them come alive is also something very much rewarding to me. Being able to be out in the community and see different protests, different events, represent people in federal civil rights lawsuits, those are the great times of the job. Some of the low points are, it's a roller coaster. You're up here and it's great and it's amazing, and then you get back from court and then it's a down here. That you get a call that someone has been deported, that someone's been rearrested again, that someone has been denied in Ciudad Juarez from other cases, not ours. I want to be clear about that. But when you get those phone calls of something very bad happening, and you live through those individuals, right? We get happy with them, yes. At the same time, when there's a moments of sorrow, we feel down just the way they feel down. And it's our job, though, to come in and say, okay, well, this is what happened. Not everybody's perfect. Not everything in life is going to be the way you want it to be. But how do we look at this situation and improve it and make it better? Avoid that mistake, obviously, in the future, but at the same time, repair it so it has the least amount of damage overall in life. One incident that I remember clearly that's completely etched in my mind is walking into an ICE check-in with one of my clients and not walking out with her. She ended up getting deported, having to come out and tell the family, sorry, your wife was taken into custody, is going to be deported probably. So those to me are the low points that sometimes they just come back into your mind when you're not even thinking about it. And it's almost like post-traumatic stress disorder that you receive from being so attached to the human beings that you're serving. So it has its good and it has its bads. And when the bads come, you got to accept them, you got to realize them. That pain you feel, you have to just say, I'm going to work 10 times harder on this case to get them back, or 10 times harder on the next case so this doesn't happen again. And also step back and realize that sometimes it's time to spend with your own family and take care of yourself to make sure you can get your head back in the right place.
So would you say you selected this job to help others?
Yeah, I would definitely say I selected this to help others. And to me, it's a passion, it's a desire, it's something that I wake up every day just excited to do. So it also almost doesn't feel like a job. Like to me, a job is more something where you have to go because you have to get a paycheck and you have to pay the bills. To me, this is something that, I feel so happy and fortunate to be able to do it. It's almost should be a crime for me. I should have to pay someone to live this life, right? Because you get to come in the office. The people I work with every day are absolutely brilliant. They're passionate, they're compassionate, they're high energy. They're the kind of people you just want to be around because they make you better every day. And on top of that, to be able to serve the community that we so much love and we all come from, and build something new at the same time, right? We are an criminal immigration law firm dedicated to the community with people who are 100% from the community. So I think we're doing something new, something exciting, and to me it's something that is absolutely extraordinary.
So how much education is usually required for this job?
To become an attorney, you have to finish high school, you have to go get your undergraduate degree. Undergraduate degree is generally 4 years, but I took 5 years to do mine. Honestly, I just like school so much. There's so many classes I want to take, I just went ahead and did 5 years. And then after that undergraduate degree, you go to law school, which is generally 3 years. Same thing though, I took 5 years to graduate. I took 2 years off between my second and third year. So all in all, if you go straight through, which I didn't, it would be through high school and then an additional at least 7 years, 4 of college, 3 of law school.
Do you mind if I ask you why you took those couple years off?
Sure. So I took 2 years off because I was working on documenting vigilante activity on the U.S.-Mexico border. Way before your time, there were these individuals called the Minutemen Project who went down to the border, basically white supremacists. And what they were doing is they were hunting for people that were coming across the border, right? So what we were doing out there is we were trying to stop them from beating anybody, abusing anybody. So we would take video cameras and follow them through the middle of the desert. In Arizona, in Texas, in New Mexico, in California, out there following these individuals. Even before the Minutemen Project, there was other white supremacist groups that were out hunting for immigrants. So I wanted to take time off to go back to my hometown of Douglas, Arizona, and work on this issue to stop them, to get them arrested, to bring lawsuits against them, to make sure that the world knew about the racism that was occurring on the border. So that's why I took the 2 years off. And it ended up being some of the more exciting times in my life, being out there in the middle of the desert, following a bunch of armed racists around. We were able to help out in developing a lawsuit that stopped one of the ranchers, Roger Barnett, from being out there hunting human beings, exposing a lot of what was behind the Minutemen Project, and at the end of the day, documenting, doing a documentary called Rights on the Line, Vigilantes at the Border, writing reports and exposing the issue, and learning firsthand about migration from people that were coming across the border. being out there in the middle of the desert, you come across people who have been walking for 3 days, 4 days, sometimes even a whole week, oftentimes without food, without water. And I'll never forget those interactions with people who were very near death. Come in, baby.
So after you go through law school, is there any additional training that you needed for this job?
So you need the 4 years of law school. After that, you have to take what's called the bar examination. And that varies state by state. So Arizona will have one test, California will have another test, New York, Texas, so on and so on. And it depends on which state you're in. California, I think, is a 3-day, New York's a 3-day, Arizona's a 2-day. So you can take another course to prepare you for that, or you can just study on your own and then take it. After you pass that, because you can't, even if you have all those years of schooling, but you can't pass that exam, they won't let you be an attorney. So you have to pass that exam, and then you have to apply to whatever licensing body is in the state to see if you're qualified morally and character. In Arizona, they call it character and fitness, to be an attorney. Once you pass that, then you're officially a licensed attorney, and you can practice anything you want. You can do criminal law, immigration law, bankruptcy, personal injury. My recommendation to people is to find someone who's passionate about what they're passionate about, learn under them, work under them, and then go off and do your own thing, or maybe you'll be happy there. But you can literally practice anything you want once you're a licensed attorney. And after that, you still have to keep going to school. You have to do what's called continuing legal educations. So I have to take 15 hours a year of classes to make sure I'm still learning about developments in the law. So it's a lifetime of learning.
That is, if like the laws are fluctuating or there's a change in the law.
Oh, and it's every day. I mean, every day the laws change in some way, either through a court decision, a judge will say something different, a different interpretation of what the law should be, or what the law no longer is, or Congress or the states will pass a new law that affects your area of the law. So that you always have to be studying and look into things that are changing.
How important are reading and writing for you in your job, or are there other skills too?
Reading and writing, I think, are the two keys that you need, the fundamentals. But after that, I think the more important skill is critical thinking. Right? You need the base, you need the foundation of knowing how to read, and then knowing how to write briefs and motions. But that is just meaningless if you don't have the critical thinking skill. Because that's the way that you interpret what you read, that's the way you come up with new arguments to present in what you write. So just having the reading and writing isn't sufficient. I think that's something that in the state of Arizona and probably across the nation we need to work on more. We're so focused on these standardized testing and let's judge the level of reading comprehension and the level of writing without thinking about going beyond that. Reading comprehension is very important, but beyond that, critical thinking. How do you read something and translate that into something critical in your writing that can help make the world a better place? So it's reading and writing. Critical thinking is also very important. Organization and time management is hugely important. Right? If you don't have control of your time, if you're not sure when you're going to work on your case, you're going to ruin somebody's life. And regardless of being a great writer, being a great critical thinker, being a great reader, if you can't organize your day to get to the end and win somebody's case, it's going to really mess someone up. So that's another very important skill that a lawyer has to have, called time management.
Is effective speaking go with that too?
It could, right? I know some attorneys who are amazing attorneys, but they have a fear of speaking, and they don't like to do it. They prefer to be behind the scenes, doing the legal research, doing the writing, presenting the briefs, and letting somebody else doing the argument. Effective public speaking is something that I think one of the first things you think about when you think of an attorney, and that's a good skill to have. It's a great skill to have. But even if someone's afraid of speaking, afraid of being out there in front of a camera or in the courtroom, they can still have a tremendous impact and be a great attorney. But yes, having that skill I think would be beneficial to being an attorney.
Do you ever have to work in teams or in group work in your job?
Oh yeah. Yeah, working in teams and doing group work is a huge part of being an attorney as well. I have some cases that I'm on where there's over 4 attorneys in different states, right? So it's not like we can get together, even have lunch together or strategize in the same office. We have to coordinate different time differences if you're on the East Coast compared to being on the West Coast, compared to being on the South, and figure out a way to collaborate as a team to make sure that our clients' interests are best served. That's on the bigger scale. On the smaller scale, within this office we have 13 people at any given time here. We have to be working within our 13 to accomplish the goals that we want for the cases we work on. So one example is if someone becomes our family member, which most people call clients, they sign up with us and we're going to represent them. The first thing we do is we have a case strategy meeting. So everybody who comes into the office here, and we plan out the case. What's our goal, and then what are the steps we're going to take to get to our goal. And we put it all down in writing, right, to make sure that we're going to adhere to that with deadlines, with tasks for people, to make sure everybody's held accountable and everybody works together to accomplish that goal. If you're a lone individual, you will not survive here at this office or in any other law firm really. You have to be able to work in teams and get along with personality differences and realize that sometimes people are going to call in sick, sometimes people are going to drop the ball, and be willing to pick up the slack. But here we all talk about being what's called palms in, right? Palms in is like this. Palms down, palms up, I'm sorry, is asking for something. How can I be helped? How can I benefit from this? How can I do something better for me? The palms down and palms in is how can I contribute to the team? What can I do to bring about this victory? And that's what we preach here, and to me that's definitely something that someone needs to have if they want to be a successful attorney.
So for those times that you have to work with others like across different states and across the country, could you like give an example of that?
Yeah, so we have a lawsuit right now where we're suing the sheriff and ICE for unlawfully detaining somebody. So on a case like that, we have attorneys in us here in Arizona, attorneys in Tennessee, attorneys in Chicago, and I think those are the 3 states. So we have to coordinate. If there's a brief that's filed by the government, we have to read it and then figure out a time where we can all talk about it and decide what to respond, who's going to respond to what, and divvy out the casework as well.
What did you learn in school that helped you the most in this job? And then what did you have to learn on your own?
What I learned in school that helped me the most versus what I had to learn on my own in terms of this job. Wow, that's a great question. I think in school you learn the time management aspect. And I'm talking about undergrad or law school. You get assignments there from your teachers. You have to coordinate how to use your time to accomplish that assignment, what part to devote to reading, what part to devote to research, what part to devote to writing. And to me, that's a lot like a case that we get. Along the same lines when I was in law school, we would get I forgot what it's called now, but the class schedule where it goes over and tells you what you have to read what week. And I would figure out, okay, my week, how am I going to divvy this up so that what days am I going to work on what readings? And to me, that was a lot like just getting a case where we get the case and we analyze what we need to do and we figure out based on the time we have when we're going to be able to accomplish that. So it was a skill I think that helped me a lot. The funny thing is you don't learn a lot about being an attorney in law school. In law school it's more theory. You learn about the theories of the law. You read about old cases from a long time ago to get a grasp of that, how the law has developed and how the law got to be how it is today. Critical thinking, I think, can be found there as well in the upper divisions. Hopefully in high school already for you. In college, it depends on what class you take. A lot of that still is just kind of memorization, memory, and then repeat. But definitely in law school, you have to use a creative thinking. Otherwise, you're going to have the same results as everybody else has. There's not really multiple choice tests that you get in law school. You have to read, then have a new scenario presented to you, and figure out how the law, as it is now, would affect this new case scenario that you're getting. And then what I've learned had to learn on my own, business management, right? They don't teach you anything in law school about how to run a business. Accounting, HR, promotion, advertising, anything that has to do with running a business, you don't get it all in law school. So I had to figure that out on my own. And now I like to go to what's called YouTube University, right? So if you ride with me in my car, more than likely I'm going to be listening to a YouTube video. And it could be I love motivational speaking, so it could be a motivational speaker, Gary Vee, Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, any of these people that are there to inspire people to improve their lives. Or it could be a how-to video of how to set up audio better when you're filming a video. It could be marketing, how to do marketing better. It could be how to do QuickBooks better. You know, it's just so amazing right now that we're living in a day and age where anything we want to know, we can grab our phone and put it in there and learn about it. You don't have to go enroll in a community college, a university anymore. If you're really passionate about something, you can, on your own, on your phone that you have in your hand, without even going to a computer, without even going to a library anymore, look it up on Google, look it up on YouTube, and there'll be somebody there wanting to share what they know and what they're passionate about. And I take advantage of that to the fullest. If I want to know about anything, I'll just go to YouTube or go to Google and read about it or watch a video about it or get an audiobook about it to improve myself and improve my skill set.
Last question here. So, what do you wish you had studied more in school, if anything?
What do I wish I had studied more in school, if anything? I think now, in hindsight, and again, another great question, I think I would have taken more advantage of my professors and gone to them more and talked to them more and got to know what their struggles and things that they've been through. Because I think more than anything, it's relationships that you remember and relationships that help you get through the hard times. In my law school, I had great relationships with professors, and that's what helped me get through the difficult times. Because I'll be honest with you, I hated law school. At the beginning, I hated it. I was from a public school kid, Coronado High School, Arizona State University, and I went to this beautiful, gorgeous campus. It was just a different world. I went to Stanford Law School. And there was like a bunch of rich people, a bunch of people that I just couldn't connect to. And I went to learn about how to create social change, how to make the world a better place. But everybody there was just, had different goals in mind. The curriculum was not set up for that. It was set up more like kind of trajectory towards big corporate law. But I had some great professors there that I was able to lean on and give me outside readings and help me through that. Also, I think I would have maybe taken more business courses now but I had no idea I was going to own my own law office. Like that was not in the picture, not in the plans at all. So I think I would have done a little bit more of that, gone maybe take some classes in the business school or something. What else would I have focused on more? In undergrad, I was a religious studies major, right? What does that have to do with the law? Not a whole lot. But to me, I was thinking, when I was just a little bit older than you, well, I'm going to go eventually work the rest of my life. Here's my one opportunity just to study, just to learn. So what I wanted to do was figure out the meaning of life. So what better way to do that than studying the religions of the world? How do other people make sense of the world? how the other people rationalize why we're here, what our purpose is. So I wanted to just spend my time studying that. So that's what I did. And I don't regret that at all. Like maybe looking now, oh, I should have took business, more econ, more finance. That's more practical, but I don't regret it at all. I really appreciate having had the time to do that investigation, to just learn, to just be inquisitive, to ask questions, to travel. I traveled a lot. I traveled to Latin America. I traveled to United Kingdom. I traveled to Europe through study abroad programs. And to me, that was unbelievably eye-opening. And again, that didn't help my day-to-day job right now at all, having gone to Paris or having gone to Spain. But it's something that just as a person, I think helped me grow and be more mature and see a bigger picture to everything than just the small amount of the world that we see here and the cases that I work on a daily basis. So that's my best answer to that.
All right, that's all I have. So
Great.
thank you.
Yeah.
for your time.
Any other questions that you have outside of those questions or anything that came to you when we were talking?
Yeah, how was starting your own business like?
It was really scary, like really, really scary. Because like I told you, I never really had an intention on being a lawyer in the first place, honestly. I was more into community organizing and activism, and by way of failing at that and realizing I had a law degree, I started becoming a practicing lawyer. And there's another story behind it that has to do with when we were out there following some of these bad things that a sheriff by the name of Joe Arpaio was doing. I ran into attorneys that I didn't think were there for the community. I thought they were there more for themselves. And that really frustrated me, so I wanted to get my license. But even after that, when I became an attorney, I was working either at the county public defender's office, the federal public defender's office, and only at the end went to a private law firm. And that was more to get back to Phoenix and more to get back into immigration. And then it came a time where I realized the person that I had jumped ship for to come work for up here in Phoenix was just a shady, bad person whose only intention was to take money from people and not really help them. So I only lasted 2 weeks at that job, and then I quit. And then it was at a point where I had no idea what to do. I just quit a good job with the government, the Federal Public Defender's Office. No immigrants' rights groups were hiring whatsoever. But morally, I just couldn't stay at that place. It's not in me to cheat people or to deceive people. So we were living with my in-laws, my wife, our first son, Ray, was still a little baby, and we had no money in the bank, zero. But it was like, well, I have this law license, I know how to fight cases, I'm really good at it. Why don't we just open our own law firm? And normally you would want, 3 months or a year of savings, 3 months of operating expenses, all this money in the bank. We had nothing. We were living at my in-laws' place, right? I think we had less than $1,000 in our personal bank account. But anyways, just put out on Facebook, hey, we're going to open our own business, because we had no other option. There was nowhere else to go, is really what it was. And from that, people started coming. Activists that knew us from the community started sending us cases. Friends from high school started sending me cases. We started winning those cases, and slowly but surely we just kept building up. My first office the entire office was probably a quarter of this room, real small shoebox. I had to meet in another room with people to tell them about their case. I remember the first lady that signed up with me gave me a $1,000 check. And she was shaking, giving me the check. My hand was shaking to go and get it. I was like, oh my God, someone's giving me $1,000. I don't have $1,000 written on my bank account, right, to do their case. And with that first check, I went and bought a laptop at Costco to work the cases. It literally started from zero. And so, yeah, it was frightening. But it's like, hey, I got a kid, we're married, we got to figure something out, we got to do it. So instead of just making excuses and feeling sorry for myself, let's just get to work. And that's what we did, day after day after day, and taking on new cases that I was already competent in, right? To me, I got very lucky at that. I was already trained how to be an attorney at the county public defenders, at the federal public defenders, and already had been trained under immigration law by a man by the name of Farouk Parsi. So I was comfortable with the cases. And only because of that, I think, was able to succeed, was able to fight the cases very aggressively at a time when other attorneys really weren't doing that, and build our reputation off of, hey, these guys win cases. And after we figured out how to win cases, then we had to figure out how to serve people better, how to give a better client experience, how to make sure that they feel welcomed, they feel informed, they always feel like they know what's going on with their case. So that's stuff that we learned just, though I told you about YouTube University, right? Just going and learning and learning and learning and never being satisfied. Never thinking, I figured it out. I got it now. Always being humble and always figuring out, how can I get better? How can I do more? And how can we better serve the people? And as long as that is your underlying goal and your underlying premise, you're going to be successful. So it's really about serving other people and serving them better than anybody else does. And to me, that's the one goal. If you want to be an attorney, you figure out what you're passionate about and how you can do that the best of your ability. Doesn't matter how anybody else is doing it, how anybody else did it in the past, but use that critical thinking and say, these individuals I want to serve, how can I provide them a tremendous service? And it's by being a great attorney, knowing your stuff, and knowing how to treat people too. And if you do that, then you'll be successful.
At my age, I'm told that I'm supposed to kind of know what I want to do, what I'm going to want to work in. And that's kind of scary. I don't know exactly for sure. But would you say that you knew at a young age, or like in your teenager years, what you wanted to do?
Absolutely not. 100% not. Like, do not worry about that for a single second. Do not stress over what job you want to have when you're older right now. And my advice 100% is figure out what you're passionate about. What in your mind do you say, I want to wake up someday and just do that? Not how much money do I want to make, or what can I buy for my parents, or anything, just what am I passionate about? And then go volunteer in whatever that is. Go work under someone who's doing something like that. And it doesn't have to be just one thing, right? If you're like, well, I kind of like immigration, I kind of like children's rights, I kind of like the environment, then go try them out, right? Spend your summer volunteering at different organizations that are doing that kind of work, or different businesses that are doing that kind of work, and figuring out what feels right. But at no point should you stress too much about, this is where I want to be in 10 years. These are the exact steps I need to take, right? I knew when I was in high school that I wanted to be a baseball player. That was my certain. I was 100% certain I wanted to be a professional baseball player. If you would have asked me when I was a junior in high school, are you going to be a lawyer someday? I would have said, no, I'm going to be a baseball player, all right? Through experiences I had in the summer at leadership camps and stuff, it got me going in the direction of activism, of civil rights work, but still it wasn't 100% sure that I was going to be an attorney, right? Even in undergrad, it still wasn't clear if I wanted to go get a PhD and do social justice work, just be an organizer, or go to law school, right? So it probably wasn't even until later in my undergrad that I was like, yeah, law school's what I want to do. And even in law school, I didn't want to be an attorney, practicing attorney. I wanted to know the law, wanted to understand it, but I didn't want to have any desire to go in a courtroom and litigate to liberate. To me, it was more about understanding the theory and creating social change in the streets. So don't fret about that for a minute. Just the best thing you can do right now is excel at whatever it is you're doing. If you go get a job at the movie theater, which is where I worked when I was in high school, be the best damn movie theater employee that you can be. Create a culture and a habit of winning and being the best, whatever it is you're doing. Don't think anything's too good for you. Don't think anything is beneath you. If you're given a task to mop the floor, whatever job you're having, be the best damn floor mopper in the history of that company, that organization. Because you're building within yourself a mindset of, I'm going to excel at whatever I do. I'm going to be amazing whatever it is I do. And if you're doing that on the scale right now in high school, you're going to carry that, because that's just who you are, into college. And into college, you're going to carry that into law school. Into law school, you're going to carry that into your profession. So no matter what it is, do it as best as you can do. Create that habit of being a winner. Create the habit of being someone that's perseveres, that fails but gets up and tries again, that fails but gets up and tries again, and over and over and over. To me, that's way more important than knowing for sure 10 years from now I want to be this or I want to do that.
That's all I have.
Perfect, man. Let me go introduce you to the rest of the team.